What are your top tips for safety identifying wild plants, especially for beginners?
I would say go as traditional of a route as you can. Walk with somebody that knows. There's there are a lot of plants that don't have lookalikes where you can pretty straightforwardly identify that that's the plant that you're looking at. But there's so many lookalikes, and there are some toxic lookalikes. Like there's a plant that's coming out right now called chickweed, Stellaria, and it's a great nutritive green. It's delicious. It's very bright, vegetal, wonderful for salads or sautéing or tossing in soups or making medicine with. And there's a toxic lookalike called Scarlet Pimpernel, which is also starting to grow right now. And if you don't know what you're looking at, you can take something that's going to have a very strong, potent effect, but not make you feel good. Especially if you eat it in the same kind of doses that you would the chickweed, which is a high dose. It's a food, so you can normally eat a lot of it. So I would say walk with somebody that knows, take a class, hire an herbalist, find friends that are into it, that have the humility to say when they don't know. That's a very important thing. So you're not mislearning information. Um, yeah, there's herbal schools around the area. There's Ancestral Apothecary, Berkeley Herbal Center in the Oakland area. There's Land of Verse, what used to be Scarlet Sage up um, in San Francisco. There's forageSF, of course, and walking with people that have experience isn't that's how we've all learned. Like that's how our ancestors learned. They walked, they experimented, they shared their information, and then you gather information. So that's one way. There's also plant ID apps that are wonderful. There's a whole host of them these days. If you're going to go with that, I would do a couple plant ID apps and then cross reference, and also get the premium subscription wherever applicable. Taking books into the field is a cool way. Oftentimes, unless you're prepared to take plants home, plants will shrivel on the way home. And so what they look like in person is not what they'll look like when they're in the field. Um, yeah, I would say that those are probably the most straightforward ways of learning to identify plants. But a lot of plants are forgiving. Mushrooms are not as forgiving. There's an expression I learned quite a while ago that said there's safe and there's mushroom safe. So you got to know with mushrooms because you can die, and it's likely that you won't die as you're out there. But it's important to know what you're touching or putting into your mouth. Less so touching. A lot of plants you can at least touch, except for like poison oak, of course. You can
Mm.
at least touch and not have an adverse reaction. Um, but it really depends on your sensitivity and the potency of that particular plant. So, and once you do know you have a proper identification, try it. Notice all the like use your sensory organs to get to know that plant, whether it's your eyes, how does it look? Notice all of the details and then cross-reference those details with guidebooks that talk about it. Smell it. What do you note? Taste it. Tasting is the last thing to do, but taste it. See what flavors you note, what you notice. This is all about developing relationships, and most plants won't kill you. So a lot of plants you won't want to have in your mouth, um, and there's some that are absolutely dangerous to put in your mouth, whether because they have cyanide in the seeds, or because you'll have a huge allergic reaction, um, like with poison oak, or uh, there's one called snowberry that grows out here that if you crunch on the seed, it's incredibly bitter. Not sure what compounds in the seed, but you're supposed to not to eat it when it tastes horrible.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but get to know the plant and do it slowly.